Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers. Anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is, or you have got a bit lost? Welcome, everyone. I'm Chatty. Welcome to my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I'm going to be chatting away madly about the rest of what I read in October. So this is sort of like week 3 and 4, roughly. So I have more here, and I will be chatting away. On this channel, I do not edit. It is only one shot. Because of my technology. So cheers everyone, clink clink clink. Expect a lot of chaos and some waffle. So there we go. Grab yourself tea and settle in for a chat. So I have got 4 books to talk to you about. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is one that I was kind of reading throughout the whole of the month, and this was a buddy read that I did with the lovely Emily from Novell Novels. It is The Tennent of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. This was a read for VICTOBER, and I had a wonderful time being able to read this again. It was really lovely to be able to chat with Emily about it. It was a reread for her as well, and it was just so gorgeous. It was such a lovely thing to be reading sort of in the autumnal month. It's a book that's broken into 3 parts. So the first part is with the kind of this mysterious stranger. It's kind of this village life. We've got this sort of old Gothic building that has a mysterious tenant living in there. The tenant is called Helen Graham, and she has moved to the village with her son Arthur, who is about 5 or 6. And obviously in a village there is all kinds of gossip and intrigue and interest. So you start to learn these characters, and you start to sort of learn about the character of Helen. Our protagonist is called Gilbert Markham, and it is all told through his eyes, and it is done in the form of him writing a letter to his best friend to tell him a story. And it just feels so cozy, just all of the being in the countryside, being on the farm, going for walks, sort of meeting up at people's houses. You get a feel of like the fires. You also get this feeling of this cold weather, so it feels really atmospheric in that sense. But also I just love peeling back the layers in this first part of who is Helen? Why does she act the way she does? What do we think of her? And as we start to get to know more and more about her, and we see it all through Gilbert's eyes, so as his opinion changes, so does ours, and it is fascinating. And I love that on this reread I understood so much more of why Helen acts in the way she does, because we know her past. In the second part of the book, you get Helen's story told through her words in diary entries up until the point of her coming to this place. And then the third part is what happens afterwards. And that's all I'm going to say. But Helen is such an amazing character. She's absolute strength in this. There are moments when it feels a little bit on the preachy side, but genuinely I just adore her strength. I'm just here for that. Just being aware of when it was written and just how powerful it is. I just had the best time reading it. There were moments when it just felt really bad because you knew what was coming, knew what was happening. There are so many kind of like red flags coming up, and lots of it hurts, but you also see the strength and you see the coming through, and there's just so many things that just feel wonderful about this book. So I had a wonderful time reading this again, and it still remains one of my favourites. I then had another buddy read. I read Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and we had a thread on my Discord middle grade mad chat. If you're interested in that, it is a Discord all about middle grade books, and the details and the link is in the description box. So I was reading this, never read this before, and I've always been meaning to, with Tallia from Vadania Book Mom and Stacy. And it was really fun to talk about with them. I find this book very creepy. I think this is probably my level. So this is a horror book, and we follow Coraline. So we get to meet Coraline in the first few chapters. They've just moved to a new house. There is a door in this new house, and we also get to see this kind of alternative world and reality, and it just feels really, really freaky. And the more we read the story, the more we unearth the freakiness of what is going on. I really enjoyed finding out more about this and what was happening. But at the same time, kind of the things Coraline has to go through and the things she has to do as more about what is actually going on kind of becomes clear. It's just so freaky. I think this is sort of like my peak level of being able to read horror. Like I would not be able to read further than this. And it is just freaky. Thank goodness for this lovely character here, the cat. So the cat is sort of like Coraline's ally. It's like the only one she has. She's going through all of this alone. And thank goodness for the cat, because otherwise I don't think I would have managed to have continued reading, because it's just too scary for me. So knowing she has this cat with her and knowing that there is someone who has her back to a certain extent made this so much easier to manage, because she had someone to share thoughts and feelings with about what is going on, working out everything and trying to come up with a way to make things better. So this was a lot of fun. Don't think I'm going to be rereading it, but I feel very glad to have experienced it. I still really want to watch the film. I haven't watched it, but I definitely will be watching it. So I might just kind of fill you in at some point on that as well. But yes, it definitely had all the vibes I was expecting it to. And thank goodness for the cat, I think is all I can say with this one. Then I have YA fantasy. So this is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I started reading this. I managed to watch a little bit of one of the GOTHTOBER sprints. I have not managed to do the Readathon sprints I was hoping to. I never do. I always want to. I always get excited and I can never do it. So I try and do them all in retrospect. So I will be reading more of my GOTHTOBER in November books. But this one I did manage to read along with Tennent of Wildfell Hall. So One Dark Winter by Rachel Gillig. We have kind of like medieval fantasy world. We have a magic system that is done through cards. We have a forest that is alive. And we have a protagonist who is who has a magic that she is able to see where these cards are, but also she kind of takes on the powers of those cards. So she kind of absorbs what was put into the cards to make them magical. So she has those, so each card has a different magic and she gets that when she touches it. So she touched a nightmare card, so then the nightmare is with her and is kind of basically the sort of the source of her magic, and she has to keep it hidden because otherwise she would be hunted down for having magic that is through a fever and not through the cards is bad. I feel I've done a terrible job of that. I feel like I've just butchered the synopsis of this book, but anyway, that is ultimately what happens. So I felt that I should really enjoy this. Like, on the page, it sounds fun. I like the idea of this magic system through cards. I like the idea of like people, magical people being suppressed and by sort of like the king and the power. I like the idea of this magical forest. I really enjoy this kind of like having a kind of sentient voice as part of you, and like share like so almost like soul sharing a little bit. I enjoy that, like having a conversation in your head with someone else you can't see. I do enjoy that. So all of those kind of things tick my boxes, but this book just missed the mark for me. It just wasn't hitting me right. I just could not connect to the characters. The protagonist, I can't remember her name. What are you called? Wrong flap to find out what her name is. What is her name? Elspeth. So I found Elspeth annoying. We didn't get on with each other because I just feel she contradicts herself a bit, and she seems to have like high expectations, but is a bit hypocritical. And I just found like there wasn't really anyone that I cared that much about. I felt there were possibilities where I could be intrigued by things, but we just kind of didn't go there. I didn't really get a sense of danger. There's a great sense of atmosphere and some fantastic kind of like scenes that should make me feel things, but because I don't care about the characters and I don't really feel like I've got investment in what's going on, I just didn't care. So the reason I kind of kept reading this book instead of like skimming and finishing and DNFing was because I was buddy reading this with Vadania Silverscribe and Chloe from Phantom of the Pages, because it's the Fairy Loot book that we chose for this month to read together. And we all kind of had the same opinion. We were like, it's just not hitting us. It's just not, it just feels very meh. I am definitely not going to be carrying on with the series. Like, the sequel is out now. I'm not going to be continuing. I don't know if the others will or not. But yeah, I just don't care. And I really should, because the way the plot points that kind of took you, there was a climax, there was a cliffhanger, but because I don't care about the characters and I just like, I had issues within the plot, I just don't care. And I feel bad. So I'm going to go into a little bit more of spoilers now. So if you've not read this and you want to, lots of people do enjoy it. Lots of people really are excited about it and are looking forward to the next book. So it may still work for you. It just didn't hit with me. I just could not connect to it. So try and see for yourself, but I personally did not get on with it. So this is why I didn't get on with it. So as I mentioned, the protagonist didn't agree with a few things. So she has a cousin. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I'm calling her Ione. Ione is described as like this really like lovely, sweet girl. We see a brief amount of her and Elspeth interacting at the beginning. But basically, Elspeth just abandoned, her cousin goes with her to have a meal with her family. And Elspeth feels annoyed by her stepmother. She knows she's going to feel annoyed by her stepmother. She knows her stepmother is going to make her feel bad. And her stepmother says something as they walk into dinner. And then Elspeth is just like, I hate you, I'm going to leave. I can't stay here. And just abandons her cousin with her family and just leaves. And it's like, why are you letting this person affect you that way? You've just, one, you look like a rude guest because you've just left. Two, this is going to make your dad feel sad if you supposedly care for your dad if you don't. And three, you've just abandoned your cousin. Like, I do not understand that. And then she goes on about how lovely her cousin is. And then the father, so the uncle, has got hold of a really rare card and is offering it to the king to see what kind of reward he will get, because the king would like to own as many cards as possible. So there are some that are rarer than others, and what he gains is Ione then becomes engaged to the crown prince, who by all accounts is not a nice person, and she has been given the maiden card, which makes people appear beautiful. And Ione's like, oh no, this is such a Elspeth is like, oh no, this is such a terrible idea. She speaks to her about it once, and then that's it. It's like she leaves her cousin to her fate. She's like, oh, well, she's chosen that. Bye, Ione. It's like, I thought you were friends. I thought she was like your best friend, and you grew up together and you care about each other. And she's supposedly like the loveliest, sweetest person ever. And we get nothing of that. We don't get to see that. But she is intriguing. We then see Ione again, and she's covering for Elspeth when she knows Elspeth is lying about something. And the way she says things, it's like she clearly is putting into it. It's this marriage of convenience, but she's going in knowing that her partner is going to be abusive towards her and has already started being abusive towards her. And Elspeth does nothing. It's like, but this is your cousin. What are you doing? So I completely did not understand that. I didn't get any kind of chemistry between Elspeth and the name of her love interest, who's like the captain of the guards. Nope, don't know what his name is. But there were so many points that it felt like they were being put into. So there was just so many missed opportunities for like fun tropes of YA. So there was the there's this fake dating trope in here as a reason for Elspeth to be helping the gang of people. They're like, well, you need to pretend to that the captain of the guard is courting you. I can't remember his name. So she goes to stay, like, so it's like she's obviously being pushed into that, and then we get one minor scene and that's it. and then their relationship just doesn't make sense. It's like, I'm really attracted to you and I sort of love you, but you don't. You're just kind of lusting but hating at the same time, and it's just really weird and messy. And there's just these double standards. Like, she is massively keeping secrets and she knows this, and then she gets really annoyed that he's not telling her everything. It's like, he's the captain of the guards. He's leading a double life because he's rebelling against his king and against the guards as a highwayman. He's also got this illegal magic and knows it. Why are you annoyed with him for not telling you when you've literally just met him and you aren't telling him everything either? I don't understand this. I can't trust you unless you tell me everything. It doesn't make sense. It's like, hello, of course he's not going to tell you everything because he's not stupid. He's not going to be ridiculously trusting. And sure, you know you're trustworthy, but are you? Because you are sharing your brain with a nightmare. Also, she's really mean to the nightmare. So the nightmare helps her. She asks him to help her at certain things. Then he asks her to do one thing. He's like, this is the only mention of the dark window that we get. I want to go and see that dark window. And she's like, oh, if you want to do it, I refuse to let you control me, so I will not. It's like, what? Why? He's kind of, if you think he's not on your side, try and work out. Either decide he's not on your side and then don't ask him for help because you don't trust him. Or maybe he is on your side and you should get to know him and you should work with him and find out more about him rather than ignoring him. It just felt like so many wasted opportunities, and I just don't get her plans. I also didn't get a sense of danger from this. Like, we have this like supposed imposing threat of, if anyone is found out to have suffered from the fever and gained magical powers and had their, like, you cut their blood and it's black, that means they've got magical powers. And then they are, I don't know, either executed or like thrown into the forest for the forest to kind of like feed on or something. I didn't get this kind of fear looming over us. I didn't feel that we were in this like oppressive state because it just seemed to be so easy for them to just be running around as highway people and breaking into people's houses, and they just didn't feel like much of a threat. And when a threat was there, when it felt like their lives were in danger, there was literally just one person who was a threat, which was the Crown Prince heir. But he's like below the captain of the guards because he's a captain of the guards. So the captain of the guards has power over him, and all the other kind of like powerful people are on the captain of the guard side, not his. So it's really hard to feel scared of someone when actually they don't have the clout to make things scary. It just felt too easy for everyone, for like the good guys to be looked after and saved all the time. So they just didn't feel like there was a threat. Even kind of at the end, when there was the climax, I still didn't feel it was like a threat. And by the time stuff happened, I already knew who the nightmare was. Within a few things, I'm like, because of what the nightmare's saying, it's like, it's clearly you're this. And then we had the twist and I was like, yes. And there just wasn't enough kind of interest and shock and amazement from Elspeth. Like, she was, I don't know, she was too busy like worrying about how it affected her, or like whether she should trust people, or freaking out about her life or whatever. So it just didn't hit the mark for me. So by the time like Elspeth is erased and the nightmare's in her body, I'm like, yeah, just don't care. So it didn't work, sadly. So there we go. That was all my thoughts on One Dark Window. However, what did work and what didn't disappoint was Assassin's Fate by Robin Hobb. Now, I have some videos. So with this whole of the Fitz the Fool Trilogy, I have really enjoyed like just literally having a video devoted to just this one book, because I've got so many thoughts and feelings to share about them. So I have already released a video about me getting to the end of this book, so all my thoughts and feelings on all of this book until the last 100 pages, and then I kind of have a vlogish style of me reading the last ever bit of Hobb. So you will get all my thoughts and feelings in there, which I will link here. So if you want to know everything, please check those out, but they are long, and I do have to apologise. Sadly, the sound in the first one, where I was talking about my thoughts on the Realm of the Elderlings, so I start off with non-spoilers about kind of what this series is, how it makes me feel, and then I go into talking about this book and all the spoilers and all my feelings of it. Unfortunately, the sound, I think what I'd done is I had my headphones connected to my mobile phone, and through the Bluetooth, and I hadn't disconnected them. So when I started filming, the microphone wasn't on my phone, which is where it usually is. It was on my speakers, and I think they were all the way at the back of the room. So actually that is a very powerful mic that was able to pick up my voice, but it sounds quite echoey, and you can't really hear me that clearly. I did consider when I was watching it back, I was like, the sound is terrible, I'm so sorry. I did think about remaking the video, but everything in that video was like before I read the last 100 pages, and like my gut feelings and my reactions and how I was feeling at that time towards the book up until that point. And for me to then recreate it, it just wouldn't have felt as genuine, because it was very much, I've got 100 pages left to read, this is how I am. And then I then later did my feelings after I'd read the book, like just before I read the end of the book and then reading the book. So to go back and kind of do that after I'd read the book felt like it just wouldn't be genuine and it wouldn't work. So you can hear me, it's just the sound quality is not that great. So it's not the best, but you can still hear me. So I decided to post it anyway. Anyway, that's a nice little ramble before I talk about this book. So I'm going to try and be more succinct. This book just absolutely, for me, rounded off. She not only had to bring in the Fitz and the Fool trilogy to a close, she had to bring in the arc of the whole of the series to a close. And it works fantastically. So the purpose of this book, this is the quest book, so we're on this quest that we've been leading up to from the other books, and for me all of those points were hit. I know there are certain things that some people feel is a bit self-indulgent, but for me we still have stories of those to come to a close. There is still some loose ends from characters, just like our Six Duchy characters. We have our Bingtan and our Elderling characters where there are some loose ends for them to be tied up with. So those storylines came to a close, and like the links between them all kind of came full circle. But also thematically, I feel we have an exploration of this cycle of vengeance and this cycle of pain and breaking the cycle of pain. That is a theme that's kind of was definitely explored, I felt, in Live Ships, and without us fully considering it, it really was explored as well in the Fitz storyline. It has also given me such a huge amount of respect and amazingness of the character. I already loved her before, but Catrican, she is not a huge character in this, but thinking about the themes of the book, I just appreciate everything she's done with ruling the Six Duchies. So yeah, I love her. I'm just very impressed. But in terms of like the story of the book, the characters that we love, we follow our little band of characters and we follow the two different storylines. They connect, they meet, that's what we want. I get emotional payoff. The story goes in ways that make sense for the story to go. There was lots of things that I wanted to happen, like points that I was needing to kind of like hit, but also things that I wasn't expecting. So things were, there were surprises, there were things that didn't go the way I thought they were going to. Not the way I thought, the things I hadn't considered. So things in the story that just kind of came out and that were brilliant. More of the magic and the lore and things were explored in here and answers were given. Not everything, there is still so much to this magic system that we can explore and this world that can be explored, but generally things were. And I adored the close of this book and the way the story came. It just felt it felt right. It's again, it's this beautiful cycle, and it just felt perfection, and the emotions and the bittersweetness and love and hope was just all in here, and it was amazing. There we go. So those are all the books that I read in October. I had fun. It was a mixed bag, but I had fun. There were things I was wanting to, there was definitely more things I was wanting to read and get to, but like I said, I'm very glad that I can just be picked up in November. Still not going to get to read everything, but you never do, so it is what it is. Thank you so much for watching. How was your October? I would love to hear all about it. I will be wrapping up all of my readathons. So VICTOBER, I just was only ever going to read the wrong book, so I did, and that's great. So that was that one done. But BLACKOWEENATHON, none of these obviously were for that. GOTHTOBER and HALLOWTWEEN, I will be wrapping up in my final November reading section, so I will let you know about how all those readathons went for me in there. Thank you so much for watching. Happy reading, everyone.